Can I get a tribe check?
What's up, Seminole fans? Welcome to another episode of Tribe Check. My name is Emily Peters. I'm your host. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode. It's just you and me today. We've had a very fun 2025 so far. Just been pumping out these interviews with baseball, softball, men's basketball, women's basketball, our first Golden Girl last week. Sometimes I forget that we started off the year with Ryan Fitzgerald. If you missed out on that episode, definitely go back and check it out because April will be here before we know it. We've got the NFL draft coming up, pro day at Florida State, the combine, and Ryan will definitely be a bright spot for Florida State. So if you missed out on that episode, go back, check it out, and don't miss out on any future episodes by subscribing. That's right, guys. You know the drill. Don't forget to subscribe if you have not already. Follow, like, comment, whatever it is on your platform of choice. I appreciate you guys doing so. And it's a win-win. You don't miss episodes and we're all happy. I also think I have a pretty exciting episode for you guys next week. I'm still finalizing some of the details, but if we pull this off, I think you guys are going to be excited too. If you're into baseball and if you're just into like really great people and listening to them speak and me interviewing them, you're going to love the episode. So fingers crossed we are able to pull that one off, and that'll be your extra little incentive to subscribe this week. But guys, thank you so much for being here on this somewhat gloomy Monday. I think the sun is starting to peek out. I don't actually have a window in my office, so I'm going off vibes a little bit there, but I also checked the weather and I think it's supposed to clear up at some point today. So hopefully that time is now. Hopefully you guys are having a great Monday after a very fun weekend at Hauser. With all of that to say, this episode is going to be more baseball focused because I was there as a fan on Friday and I worked with Seminole Productions. Shout out to SemPro for the games on Saturday and Sunday. So was definitely paying more attention to those games, having to work them, of course, but also just having my love for baseball and how exciting it is to watch this team this year. I will be focusing more so on baseball. I'm hoping to adequately cover both baseball and softball this season, but just working through some transitions in my life. If you were here last week, I teased that I have some life updates for you guys. So I will be spoiling that in this episode and then getting into some baseball talk. So I won't tease you any longer. Today is actually my last Monday here in this office at my full-time job in Tallahassee. I will be relocating to St. Petersburg in the very near future. And I'm very excited. I am super thankful and just excited for, just this next chapter. This chapter in Tallahassee lasted 7.5 years, which was a little bit longer than I anticipated when I got here in 2017 for school. But again, I'm so thankful and appreciative to all of the people and all of the opportunities I've had here in Florida's capital. I just wouldn't have traded any of it for the entire world. So I'm bittersweetly leaving and super excited. I will have more details for you guys hopefully in the near future about my whereabouts, but I will be in St. Pete by next week. And so I'm sure most of you guys know this. Moving is not the most fun thing in the whole entire world. It can be a little bit stressful, especially since my lease ends before I will be actually leaving because I'm working this weekend at baseball. So, I've been trying to get all of my furniture out, trying to pack everything up, all between working full time here at the news station and also working on the weekends at baseball. So, just a lot going on, trying to manage my time as best as possible and get these episodes out for you guys. But I appreciate your patience as I kind of move through all of this, all of the craziness that's happening in my life and trying to get into a new routine because I'm definitely a routine person and I'm thrown out of mine right now and I don't love that at all. But it's all good stuff and I'm super excited and I'm so happy to share this with you guys. So If you have any like restaurant suggestions in St. Pete or anything like that, I'm super open to them and ready to get situated in chapter 2. Well, I don't know if it's chapter 2, but anyway, a new chapter nonetheless. So with all of that to say, let's talk about baseball. Guys, before I talk about this team and the season and the weekend and all of that, I have an interesting tidbit for you guys, and some of you guys listening. I feel like I have had these like friendships with you guys on Twitter. I've never met some of you, but we've interacted so much on Twitter. I feel like we're friends at this point. So I'd love to meet y'all in person, maybe at Hauser at some point in this season. But one in particular, Bryant, shout out to you. I'm going to say your Twitter username in case anybody wants to follow you after this episode. It's bwombat, WOMBAT 24. Again, that is Bryant's Twitter username. Bryant is one of the people that I feel like I have a Twitter friendship with after our interactions and, you know, liking each other's tweets back and forth and responding. And I noticed like a while ago, Bryant posting a lot about his son, Bradley. And Bradley has a disease, and the Florida State baseball team has really gotten involved with raising awareness. So just through reading his tweets and seeing Florida State baseball get involved, it definitely made me interested and made me want to maybe use this platform in this podcast to spread the word even further. So if this is news to you guys and you want to learn more, I'm going to put the website in the caption. But Bradley, Bryant's son, has cystic fibrosis. And when I initially was reading these tweets from Bryant, I didn't really know much about the disease. And Bryant later told me that a lot of people don't know a lot about it. So I'm going to read to you a lot of the information that he gave me because I don't want to mess it up. And I also want to give you guys as clear of information as possible about this disease. So what is it? Cystic fibrosis is a genetic life-shortening disease that devastates the lungs, pancreas, and other vital organs. CF, for short, makes it difficult to breathe and fight life-threatening infections, often leading to extensive lung damage and respiratory failure. Every person born with cystic fibrosis is on a unique journey and experiences this challenging disease differently. While progress has been made, a long road lies ahead for far too many people fighting this terrible disease. We need a cure so that everyone with CF has a better chance to live a long, healthy life. So, there is no cure for this disease, and a lot of it is unknown, and a lot of people don't know a lot about it. So, Florida State baseball has really gotten involved with Bradley and Bryant, and just kind of the community of people who are suffering from this disease right now. And so going on to some of the information that Bryant has provided me, his son Bradley has a close friendship with Jaime Ferrer. After they bonded over both fighting genetic conditions. For those of you who are not aware, Jaime has diabetes, so that's going to be what he's referring to there. Jaime spent last season wearing Bradley's wristband and helping to spread CF awareness with the team and public. James Tibbs III and Connor Holtz also wear the bands to spread the message as well. Jaime and Tibbs continue to wear theirs at the pro level to spread awareness. So if you're wondering how this applies to this year's team, or, you know, how else the Florida State baseball team has gotten involved, or how you can get involved too. Some of you may have seen some tweets about K-Time for cystic fibrosis. This is an initiative that Jamie Arnold has completely thought of himself, which to me is just absolutely outstanding. He's fantastic on the mound, but being such a wonderful person and wanting to use his NIL for good in such a crazy NIL world just makes you want to root for him a little bit more. So here's what's going on. Jamie and his entire family have treated Bradley so amazing, and Jamie really wanted to help in this battle and created this initiative. The initiative is called K-Time for Cystic Fibrosis. So in addition to $25 per strikeout raised, there is also a website that fans can visit to join in on K-Time for Cystic Fibrosis. They came up with the name as a tribute to the animals as well. Shout out to the animals. The animals are planning on doing something to help with fundraising as well. So K-Time for Fibrosis, essentially every time Jamie Arnold, who's the strikeout king, strikes someone out on Friday nights, they donate $25 to the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, specifically at the West Florida chapter. So, 8 strikeouts for Jamie Arnold on Friday definitely was a good contribution to this. But again, there is a website, which just to make things easier for everyone, I'm going to go ahead and put in the caption of this episode. So if you would like to learn more about the disease, or if you would like to contribute to the fundraiser and, help out with research, definitely visit that website in the caption. Shout out to Bryant for allowing me to talk about this on my podcast and hopefully reach some more of you guys. I think it's just a really cool thing to do, and I think it really shows you a lot about this baseball team. Someone like Jamie, who is the best pitcher in the entire country, is using his NIL to support a local family, a local kid who loves baseball. Shout out to Bradley. I know he's one of the biggest Florida State baseball fans out there. So, it's a really cool thing. And again, thank you to Bryant for allowing me to share your story on this podcast. I hope that Jamie Arnold strikes out a whole lot of guys for cystic fibrosis this year, and I have a lot of confidence that he will. Let's talk about this baseball team for a minute. We're going to start off with pitching, because how could we not, right? Okay, I'm going to read some stats out to you guys. 15.2 innings pitched, 11 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, 22 strikeouts. That, my friends, is the line of combined starters this weekend of Jamie, Joey, and Wes Mendez. The thing, of course, that stands out to me here is the 3 earned runs. Only 3, of course, there were more runs by Penn, but 3 earned, 2 walks, 0 by Jamie Arnold, and 1 apiece for Joey Vellini and Wes Mendez. And then, of course, 22 strikeouts. Can't really complain too much about that, can ya? So, what a weekend, right? Friday night, 24-2, second run rule of the season, and just a really, really fun atmosphere, even though it was freezing. I know I couldn't feel my toes by the end of the game. But it was all worth it to watch Jamie Arnold and the rest of the Seminoles just completely dominate on Friday night at Hauser. I tell you what, I'm pretty bummed out that I'm leaving Tallahassee right as this baseball season is getting started. And I talked to my boss, Kirby Kander. This is a little side note. But I talked to him about maybe coming up and working on the weekends still for baseball and softball as well, just because I don't think I'm going to be able to stay away. I mean, this team, I can't imagine not being here for it. So looking forward to more nights like that. But wow, pitching. There's not much else to say about the starters. They're doing their job. And I think the craziest thing about it is you got a guy like Joey Vellini going out on Saturday, and he might not be as happy about his performance, but I think what we all need to remember is Jamie Arnold on Friday nights is right now the best pitcher in college baseball. And so anyone who's going to start after him, it's just, you got to kind of take it, I guess, with a grain of salt. And Joey Vellini gave you an outstanding performance. There's not really much to complain about there with Joey Vellini. And then, of course, Wes Mendez, I mean, have a day. Sunday, fantastic. He was lights out for the most part. Super fun to watch him. I felt like even as strong of an opening weekend they all had, it was like a refresh, like, wow, like these guys are so good, and maybe even took a step up, and it's only the second weekend of the year. So really excited to continue watching these starters on the weekend. I think for some of us, that like PTSD from last year tries to sneak in a little bit as the bullpen comes in. Of course, last year we had some great starts, and there were moments and games where the bullpen couldn't really finish out the game, and it, got a little bit frustrating for sure. And I think there were little moments of that this weekend. But I think we also have to remember it's the second weekend. These guys are getting into the groove of the season and finding their stuff, not playing with each other. It's a process, right? And it's a long season. We're going to be talking in April and talking about, how great this team is still. And it's only going to get better. I have a lot of confidence in that. And you see a lot of great stuff from your pitching. I know for me, especially after having him on the podcast, Connor Holtz, watching him struggle yesterday was definitely hard to see. But I have a lot of confidence that he's going to get into it. I think it's just getting into the season, getting into that routine, and trying to find that stuff. Him and Posey have been in the lab trying to expand himself and incorporate some new things. If you missed out on that episode, go check it out. He talks a lot about the pitching staff, and I think it's only a matter of time before he gets into it. But, in the meantime, you got guys like John Abraham, Ben Barrett. And then Tuesday, guys, last Tuesday against USF was crazy. Evan Crest having a weekend quality start. It's really good stuff happening on the mound. And I think that's what we anticipated, right, for this year. We anticipated that the story would be pitching. But I ran a graphic yesterday on the ACC Network Extra. I was the graphics operator. And this just stood out to me so much. If you were watching the broadcast, you might remember this. But I made a comparison from last season to this season through 6 games. So these numbers don't include Sunday, aka yesterday. But through 6 games last season, the pitching staff as a whole had a 7.00 ERA. This year, through 6 games, which it may have gone up a little bit after yesterday, but through 6 games, the pitching staff had a 1.06 ERA. So already you're like, whoa, okay. And then I look at the walks statistic, and last season there was a total of 39 walks through only 6 games. This season, through 6 games, so through Saturday, we had 18 walks as a pitching staff. So already, right, you see just the difference in the strength of pitching, and that has been the story all through preseason. It continues to be the story, and I have so much confidence it's only going to get better. And these pitchers are so much fun to watch. Friday was a treat with all of the offense, but I think Saturday is going to be more of your teller of what this season is going to look like. Of course, we haven't really got into ACC play yet, and there's a lot of really good teams in the ACC, so we will be tested eventually. But I think you're looking at a Penn team that is pretty decent as an Ivy League school. Obviously, it's not the same level of competition, but a really great showing from Florida State baseball, and they definitely made their claim to be at the top of the NCAA in baseball teams in general. So really fun to watch them. Going down the lineup, what Drew Furrow has already done is absolutely insane. 3 home runs, was a little bit quiet yesterday and on Saturday, but Friday, great game. 3rd home run of the season for number 3, and he's a Tribe Check alum, so I don't know. I think the correlation between success and being on my podcast might be there. We'll see. But Gage Harrelson, fantastic. That's definitely the guy you want in that leadoff role. I know Max Williams was in there last year, and by the end of the year, he was definitely having those quality at-bats. Ended the year really strong. I can't remember exactly what the numbers are, but was on a pretty significant hitting streak by the end, last 20 games maybe. And then you got Alex Lodies as well, just really starting to figure things out already, and we're only 7 games in. The captain, of course, expect really big things from him. I skipped over Gage a little bit, just wanted to touch a little bit more on those quality ABs. I think that he can definitely make some of those Sports Center plays in the outfield as well. We will definitely see. Engage Harrelson's helmet on Twitter will have their work cut out for them for sure. I think that was a great choice. If you were a follower of Jaime Ferrer's helmet last year, it's Gage this year. So shout out to you. I'm not sure who's running that account, but I really like it. I love that content. I want to move to Cal Fisher. I think Cal is going to be kind of the sleeper, really good player this year. And just alone, I think last year in his freshman campaign, he was good. I think obviously they had those starters in the infield, and it was maybe a little bit harder for him to work himself into the lineup, especially as a freshman. But Cal Fisher had some really quality at-bats. He had a home run in his first ever at-bat as a freshman. And this year he's been working it. I'm really excited to see what he does in his sophomore campaign and over at third base. I think he's doing a decent job. I know he mentioned earlier in the year that, it was a bit of a transition, obviously, but he's played all over the infield. And I think if they really polish him up, he can be a pretty strong third baseman. I think he's already shown you what he can do, and definitely is playing with a sort of confidence this year. But it's in a quiet way. So I'm like, don't sleep on Cal Fisher this year. That's going to be my hot take. Moving through Jackson West, first start behind the plate yesterday. That was super exciting to see him finally get back into catching. I know he was talking about DHing and how it just kind of takes a toll on your mental because you're thinking about your at-bats the entire game. But having him back behind the plate, obviously he did fantastic things for you last year. So having that veteran presence, I think, is a great thing. But the catcher position is going to be pretty fun to watch this year just because you do have a little bit more depth. If Jackson needs to sit out a game and needs to DH here and there, I think you've got Hunter Carnes who, what do you even say about Hunter Carnes? Maybe one of the best freshmen in the entire NCAA right now. I say maybe. He is one of the best freshmen in the NCAA right now. Definitely setting himself up to have a fantastic year if he keeps it up. He doesn't look like a freshman either. Skipping around a little bit, looking at, a guy like Miles Bailey, who physically doesn't look like a freshman, but is working on trying to eliminate some of those strikeouts. I'm not sure if that's why we didn't see him in the lineup yesterday, but definitely want to eliminate those a little bit more. But something I want to point out to you guys who maybe might feel a little bit frustrated with Miles Bailey and the strikeouts. Cam Smith, his freshman year, was a bit of a strikeout machine. And he definitely developed into a fantastic hitter with quality ABs. And of course, Cam Smith you can't say enough good things about him. But I'm looking at the 2023 statistics right here, and Cam Smith has 66 strikeouts, leads the team with 66. Looks like the next most was 56 for Nander DeSatis. But yeah, 66 strikeouts for Cam Smith in his freshman campaign. So just, you want to take it with a grain of salt when you think about these freshmen. It's the first few games, and these are probably some of the worst at-bats you'll see all year. So if people are already having very quality ones, they're only going to get better, and the freshmen are going to get more used to seeing pitching at the college level. So can't worry too much about Miles Bailey. He's been pretty steady at first base too as a freshman. Made some, little mistakes here and there, but defensively Florida State is really good. But going back to Hunter Carnes here, he does not look like a freshman in the box. He doesn't look like a freshman anywhere. And Habaday on Saturday, 4 for 4 with a home run, double, RBI, 4 runs, I believe. I don't have it written down here, but as a graphics operator for the weekend, you tend to remember the numbers for people. The big thing here is, of course, he was the triple away from the cycle. So shout out to Hunter Carnes. I think if you're going to have Jackson West primarily catching now that he's able to, you got to put Hunter in the DH role, and then maybe switch him out if Jackson needs a break from catching at some point in the season, because it's a long season, and I have a lot of respect for catchers because my knees in that squatting position, no. Anyways, and then of course you got Nathan too at the catcher position, which I think that he could give you some quality starts too. I think that you can work them all in. Maybe have him start a little bit more in the midweek. I don't know. It's definitely a really good thing to have that depth in the catcher role. I think that's probably one of the better positions to be able to cycle some guys in there. So we'll see what they end up doing there. I know after Saturday, Link said that the offense wasn't exactly where he wanted it to be, but if you know Link, you probably know that it's always back to work, and it's the first few games. I probably sound like a broken record here, but it's only going to get better. These at-bats are going to get better, and it's going to be a really fun season. I'm excited. I'm looking at the stats right now, and it's just crazy. We're already outscoring opponents by a huge margin. I think it was 55-6 as of the Saturday game. So go ahead and add those numbers if you feel so inclined to include the Sunday game. But it's going to be a fun season. I'm super excited. These solo episodes, I tell you, they really test my lungs. But it was fun. I'm super excited that, we were able to catch up. Like I said, for next week, I think I have a fun interview planned for you guys, with a very memorable, wonderful baseball, person. I don't want to give it away too much, but I am really excited if we can pull this off. And I feel like I shouldn't tell you that because I don't want to jinx myself, but I have a lot of confidence in it. So we're gonna take a risk here and tease it a little bit. But yeah, guys, let's look at this upcoming schedule before I let you go. Because even though I should, there's so many things going on in my brain right now, I couldn't tell you who we're playing next. Jacksonville on Tuesday, aka tomorrow. And then I will probably be listening to Lulu call that one, although it's at 6, not 5, which is really good news for me. So maybe I'll make it home to watch. But then we got Georgetown this weekend at Hauser, a nice little 3 weekend in a row at home, 4 weekend in a row, actually. And then 5 weekend in a row. Wow, lots and lots of games at Hauser. We are spoiled this year. That's nice. Cool. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Again, hit that link for Bryant in the caption if you are interested in learning more or donating. Really, really great stuff. And I am just so excited for this season. I think it's going to be a long one for us in the best way. So yeah, stay tuned for more episodes. Wish me luck in my upcoming move, and I will hopefully see you guys at Hauser all season long. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and as always, go Noles.